Hi, I'm Nika from Perch. Today, we're going to go over a full Perch product tutorial. We're going to walk you through our dashboard online, our tablet app, and then how all of our products, Perch Plan, Perch Evaluate, and Perch Train, come together for a complete closed loop system for a total weight room performance monitoring tool. To start, I'm going to share my screen and we'll go over our full product suite. So at Perch, we like to say it's weight room technology and performance reimagined. Ultimately, Perch exists to maximize every movement in the weight room to improve athletic performance. Our hardware is unobtrusive. We have a small compact camera, a tablet, and a battery if needed. And that pairs with our unified software platform to ultimately help motivate athletes, analyze results, and make data-informed decisions. So Perch Plan is our programming tool. This is where you'll be able to effortlessly write, deliver, individualize, and validate the effectiveness of training programs using Perch. You can seamlessly program with Perch Plan, assign out to your athletes, and this is not beholden just to Perch tracked items. This is anything that you want to program, and your athletes will be able to train through either in the weight room on the tablet or on their mobile apps if they're away from the weight room or otherwise outside of your jurisdiction. Perch Evaluate is our jump testing tool. This is the tool that you'll be able to use to assess jump performance and understand athlete readiness and fatigue directly at the weight rack. We have a readiness report, so you get a better sense of how your athletes are performing on any given day. And then Perch Train is our weight room load management tool. So this is ultimately the foundation of our product, velocity-based training. We use small cameras to monitor, manage, and improve weight and performance without distracting from it. Velocity-based training and load management, no strings attached. How Perch works is a small compact camera. It's right behind me here in the weight room, and that's tracking depth, displacement, and time, and it's connected via USB or Bluetooth to this tablet, and that's where your immediate and objective outputs are going to be coming from. So to start, we'll pop over into our Perch web dashboard. So as a very brief overview, we do have 3 products in our Perch product suite: Perch Plan, Perch Evaluate, and Perch Train. Very quickly, I'll touch on each of these. So Perch Plan is right here. We have 2 options for your library or your results. We have Perch programs, templates, workouts, and exercises that exist within your overall program library. You can filter this down by team or individual user and then create new here. Perch Evaluate, this is going to be essentially a readiness report that's based on whatever rolling time frame you want, whatever team you want to filter by, and then position as well. And then you can even filter by best rep or set average, and then any of our metrics that we do have associated with Perch Evaluate. And then Perch Train is essentially that home screen. So this is where you'll be able to see the overall health of your organization and get a better sense of how your athletes are progressing over time. So again, those 3 main products, Perch Plan, Perch Evaluate, and Perch Train, come together for that sort of closed loop feedback system within your weight room. We'll go ahead and do a deeper dive on each of these. This is ultimately where you as a practitioner will be able to set up your entire organization. Now, our default screen is going to be Perch Train, and this is where you'll ultimately see the health of your entire organization. You can filter this down by teams, into different positions, and by exercises, and then you can change your time frame here as well. As I scroll down, you'll be able to see the overview of your overall organization, so the number of athletes, sets, load lifted, and then you can also pop over here to manage your devices. Ultimately, if you've got multiple devices in your weight room, that screen is where you'll be able to update with any software updates that we might have. You could transfer presets from one camera to the next. The Perch camera is on a motor, so it's got about 140 degrees of rotation to it, and you want to calibrate that camera for every exercise that you will perform using Perch, and then you can transfer those presets to all of your devices, so you only have to do that one time. As I continue to scroll down, you'll be able to see a couple different charts here, sets by exercise and by day as a heat map. You can see time spent in velocity zones, weight by velocity zones, any of our metrics over time. So we've got quite a few metrics. We have mean velocity and peak velocity, mean power and peak power, eccentric mean velocity, eccentric time, time to peak velocity, time to peak power, velocity at 100 milliseconds, so the initial concentric portion of the movement, displacement, weight, and total work as well. So you can add a comparison for any of these metrics or see any of them over time longitudinally as well. And then, of course, set history. Now, if I want to see any of these details, and again, this is our Perch Train for a single athlete, I can select an athlete, and they'll be able to see their specific athlete overview in that last rolling time frame, just with them specifically. And then if I want to see any individual exercise, I can click into that. Let's say it's for back squat here. There's a couple different items that we can see. So our exercise sets for this exercise, the load lifted, the total work, and again, that's in this last rolling time frame as well. And then your all-time best sets for power, load, and velocity. We can see our percent RM changing over time. weight zone changing over time, and then even a single weight changing over time based on this metric selected here. And then the really fun part here is our load velocity profile. So this ultimately indicates a bunch more metrics that Perch has down the road. So we have a dynamic zone goal tool, and we also have a suggested weight tool. All of that is based on an individual athlete's load velocity profile. So this basically is indicating that in the last 30 days, his estimated 1 rep max based on his load velocity profile has increased 1% based on the as compared to the previous 30-day time frame. Now I can change this time frame as well. So let's say we want to broaden that to the last 6 months, and we can see that his estimated 1 rep max has increased 4% in the last 6 months as compared to the previous 6-month period too. So ultimately, as you're lifting with Perch, not testing, just lifting consistently with Perch in the weight room, we're building out a load velocity profile for every exercise that you're using Perch with, estimating that 1 rep max, and then using that data to inform dynamic goals and suggested weight, which we'll get to in just a minute here. So I'll go back to my home screen here for train. Again, this is Perch train, so the foundation of our product, velocity-based training, 11 metrics plus bar or movement path. With Perch, we're not beholden just to the barbell. We can track body weight movements or goblet squats or lateral lunges or dumbbell step-ups, whatever it may be. We're capable of tracking all of that with Perch as well, and giving you some insights to that too. So again, as we move through this, I want you to think of this as sort of like a top-down. So Perch Plan is sort of that overall organizational tool. Perch Evaluate is your jump testing tool, and then Perch Train, sort of that closed loop system with your load management tool on the weight room floor. So we just went through Perch Train on the web app. I want to pop into Perch Plan. So this is where you'll be able to write your programs. So I can tap into the Perch library here. And then up top, we've got programs, templates, workouts, and exercises. You can filter this down by team or individual user. And then if I ever want to create a new program, template, workout, or exercise, I can click this button over here and select, again, program, template, workout, or exercise. Now, let's say I want to create a new workout. I can click directly into this new workout. I can assign this to individual athletes using this button, or I can assign it to entire teams or groups as well. And I can hit save, and then I'll be able to add an activity. Now, let's say I want to do a back squat. I can select that back squat. I can select bands or chains if I want, and then I can select the number of reps, the load, the metric that I want to display automatically, and then the goal. Now you'll see here, we do have this dynamic goal. This is ultimately going to say that for the load that I have programmed, based on any of the assignees' individual load velocity profile, it will tell them what zone they should be lifting that load in. And that's based on our dynamic goals and the load input and that own individual's load velocity profile. So I can select dynamic goal. If you see that Perch owl, that means that there's some intelligence built in, or I can select any of the zone goals that we have. We also have ballistic goals, we have drop goals, and then we also have time goals as well. And you can always insert a manual goal here too. Another way that you could potentially program is instead of assigning the load in pounds, you can assign that as a % of a rep max if you already have that entered in. Or again, look for the intelligent owl here. If I select that, that is ultimately telling us that this is going to be a suggested weight based on a velocity zone goal that I input here. So if I want to input an accelerative strength goal, then this means that it will suggest the appropriate load based on every assignee's individual load velocity profile. So all of this is very specific and unique to the individual based on their load velocity profile that Perch is generating and building in the back end. Now let's just keep it simple here. Keep it at 135, and we'll keep that goal the same as well with that output. I can add sets very easily, and then I can add an additional activity. So let's say I want to say bench press as well. I can add that in. We can go for 8 reps. Let's go 95 pounds, and I can change my metric, and then goal again. Maybe I want to keep it the same here. I can easily add this, and then let's say I want to superset these two exercises together. So we're doing that back to back. I can merge that into a superset, and I've got my 1A and my 1B just like that. If I want to publish this, I hit publish and then hit save. And then for all of these athletes that I've assigned this to, when they log in, they'll be able to access this workout in their workout library on the tablet, train through it, and then we'll get data on the back end as to compliance reports and much more. I'll go back to my workout library now and pop into my programs. The programs are really interesting because it's ultimately a conglomeration of different workouts periodized over time. So let's say I want to see an overall example here. Essentially on that left-hand side, we see week over week and day over day, and we can add anything, assign this again to multiple users. And we also have a couple different views here. So if I click here, I can see a load progression view as well as a week view. If I click my load progression view, I'm going to be able to see one day over that entire program period, so these 3 weeks, and I can essentially program in some progressive overload so that I know that my athletes are getting either stronger or faster, whatever the goal of my program is over time. So I can easily do that, filtered by exercise and whatnot, and then pop back into my week view. Now, if I do ever want to see a more detailed view, and that's going to be that workout builder view, I can always pop into that detailed editor, see some additional things. Maybe I want to change this into a superset. I can edit anything that I need to in that detailed editor view, as well as the overall program view here too. Let's say I want to add another day. I can click this plus button here, and then I'm going to be able to add new activities here. I can add either individual activities or templates. Now, if I want to add a template, I can actually pop over here into that program dropdown, pop to my library here, and then I can drag and drop any of these templates directly into my program. So if you have multiple pre-built templates that you constantly or consistently use, you can easily drag and drop these into your programs, make individual edits within that program, hit save, and again, your athletes will see that updated on the tablet or on their mobile app if they're away from the weight room. I can hit save here, go back to my program library, and I've updated that so that program will change. Again, templates are things that you can pre-build to drag and drop in. Workouts are individual individual workouts. They do not have to be associated with a program. They can just exist on their own. And then exercises is a little bit of a different animal here. So ultimately, you can add any exercise to this exercise library that you want, provided it is not tracked by Perch. Perch does still control the Perch tracked library. And the reason for that is very simple. Ultimately, our tracking is contextual. So it's going to be based on what we're expecting the movement to be. So we want to make sure that that is crisp and clean. And so we still control that library. But if there's ever anything that you want to add to it or change, you just let us know and we can make those changes pretty quickly. Now, if you do want to customize your exercises, and this is stuff for you to create, you can hit the Create New Exercise button here. You can add the new name, new exercise. We have the ability for you to drop a YouTube link in that demonstrates the exercise. So again, if your athletes are unclear on what to do, how the exercise is performed, they can actually watch that video directly on either their mobile phone if they're away from the weight room, or the tablet if they're in the weight room as well, unless you want to demo it for them, obviously. But just another option so that you don't necessarily have to keep track of that. We also have the ability to program in the movement pattern, the type of equipment used, the sidedness, the load configuration, and then we have advanced settings as well for body segment and then applied force. I can hit save on this, and then I'll be able to add that new exercise directly into my programs. And again, if you do want to see what an example of that video looks like, basically all you have to do is look for the play button. I can click that button, and then that exercise will play directly here on my web app. It will also play on the tablet or on the mobile app as well. So that's a general overview here of Perch Plan. We do also have results, and this is ultimately your compliance reports. So this is some conditional formatting, and we can essentially see in the last rolling time frame, and again, we can adjust that out. You can filter by team, filter by position or individual users. You can see all of the details associated with them and their performance for these programs. So the number of sets completed versus prescribed, again, some conditional formatting, reps completed, et cetera, and then the tonnage as well. So you get to see all of this progress take place over time and see and flag if athletes are performing their programs as written or not. And this, again, is a really helpful tool if they're away from the weight room so that you can just sort of continuously monitor and manage them as well. Somewhat similar is our Perch Evaluate tool. So I can click directly into this. This is a readiness report. And so this, again, is going to be based on the last rolling time frame. You can adjust this out. We do default to 30 days. We can see the best rep or the set average. And we have a couple new metrics here too. So we've got jump height in inches. We have RSI mod, time to takeoff velocity, and rep count as well. And then basically the readiness report is going to be based on the rolling time frame of 30 days. Essentially, we're going to see the percent change versus the last session, the percent change versus the 30-day average, and then a Z-score. And that's going to, again, be based on that 30-day rolling average. And then we'll get a status as to whether or not that athlete is in the red, in the green, or in the yellow. If there is no status, that means they're within one standard deviation. And so all is looking good there. Not necessarily something worth flagging, but definitely something worth monitoring over time. And again, that readiness report is just going to give you some greater insight as to how your athletes are performing on that day, if they're feeling good, if they're ready to train, and so on. There's going to be some more components built into Perch Evaluate, so stay tuned for some of that as well. Now, if you're going to structure your organization, I can click into where it says Perch. This is ultimately where you'll be able to add users, add teams, and then ultimately just manage your entire program here. So if I click into the view here of user management, you'll see we've got 1RMs, which you can manually update. We have groups, which you can create. So this can be lifting groups, times that the athletes come in, et cetera. And then again, you can pop to your exercise library there as well. Now to mass upload users, you can click this button. You'll download a CSV, re-upload that, and then all of their first name, last name, email, height, weight, gender, role, and team, as well as position can be uploaded in mass just like that. Very, very simple. If you ever need to add an individual user one-off, you'll click this button. Again, add first name, last name, email, gender, and then role is going to dictate permissions. So if you add someone in as an admin, which we recommend for your sports performance coaches, they will be able to edit and access everything in your program or your organization. If you add someone in as a coach, they will be able to see everything, but not edit everything. And then if you add someone in as an athlete, they'll be able to see their own data only if you give them email access, which we do recommend if you do want them to be able to use Perch Plan Mobile when they're away from the weight room. So adding emails is going to give them access to that. It's going to be an app that they'll download in the App Store. Now, if I filter down into an individual team, you'll see that we do have another tile here called positions. Again, that's going to be able to be added once you filter down to a team. And then if I click over into groups, you can see the individual lifting groups that we've got. So a group can be logged into a tablet at a single tap of a button. It is malleable, so if someone's not there that day, you can remove them or otherwise. We do also have a leaderboard tool. So this is really helpful if you want to generate competitions in your weight room. Basically, you can filter these columns. So I can have one main competition, I can have two competitions, I can have velocity on the left and power on the right. For an all-time window, you can filter by exercise, by team, by metric that you want to compete on, and then you can remove any other loads or percent rep maxes that you don't want to incorporate into this competition. So you just keep it to your working sets. Now this updates every 30 seconds and you can cast it into TVs in your weight room so that you get a really good lifetime competition happening here. These filters are all available in our export as well. So this export is really robust and you can export all the data and manipulate it however you see fit. You'll click on this filter button here. We've got both Perch Train and Perch Evaluate that you can export. Maybe I want to say the last 30 days, all exercises, all users, all teams and groups. You can hit save. And then I can manage these columns too. So we have sort of anything and everything associated with Perch. There's just quite a bit of detail here in these various parameters, but you can select anything and everything again and export all of this and then again, manipulate that data how you see fit or create your own reports and so on. I'll click here, My Profile on the upper right-hand side and pop into Settings. This is where My Profile settings exist. So this is me as an admin. I can pop into the organization settings, and this is basically going to be the organization name, subscription tier that I'm on. This banner image, if you do want to upload an image, is going to be able to show up on the back of that leaderboard. So if you have a mantra or a logo that you like to update, you can easily do that there. And then this is new, our app logo. Depending on what tier software you are, you'll have access to this. And basically, this is where you can upload your own custom branding. So on the Perch tablet, instead of it being the Perch Owl logo, this can be your organization logo powered by Perch. And we also have integration here too. So we do have an open API and we can integrate with whatever athlete management system that you are currently using. You'll create a new token, save it somewhere safe, and then drop that into your athlete management system, map the fields, and then your Perch data will flow directly into that AMS. Last thing here is our managed device screen. So this is where you can manage all of the devices that are associated with your organization. You can add different rows, columns, et cetera, place those devices wherever they are in your weight room. And then we can transfer the presets, update the devices, and even turn the cameras off as well, directly from this managed devices screen. I'll pop back here to my overall Perch screen. I do want to touch on this again and reiterate This is our Perch product suite. It's a unified software platform. So we have Perch Plan, your programming tool, Perch Evaluate, your jump testing tool, and Perch Train, your velocity-based training, weight room load management tool, 11 metrics plus bar, and movement path. So all of these three come together to create that closed loop system so that you can monitor weight room performance really readily just with a single tool of Perch. I'll stop sharing my screen here, and I do want to share my tablet screen so that you can see what this looks like on the weight room floor. So when I open up my tablet, this is going to be what the screen comes to. So again, if you want to customize your own logo, your background here, that Perch owl will be replaced with your own custom branding. A couple different logistic things here on that settings button on the upper left-hand side. If I tap into that, you can see what camera this tablet is connected to and what Wi-Fi network your tablet and camera are connected to as well. You can pop into preferences, and this is where you can change your weight units, your auto mode timer, logout timer, and set stop timer. And then you can access the user guide, contact support, and even log out directly from here. Now, if I tap back to my home screen to log an athlete in, I'll click that login button on the upper right-hand side. I'll search for myself. I'll add Connor. And then again, you can see groups as well. So any of those lifting groups that we have on that web app, so on the web dashboard, you can easily log multiple athletes in at a time. So typically, the workflow is going to go from Perch Plan. So we'll have pre-written programs that you can start and then train all the way through, and it'll automatically move you from one exercise to the next. But just so that you can see what manually looks like here, if I want to change the exercise, I'll tap where it says back squat, and I can change anything from our train to evaluate. Any of our exercises are categorized by type of movement, and we do have favorite exercises as well. That little camera icon is going to indicate that that is a Perch tracked exercise. So you know that from the jump. And then if I want to tap to change the load, I can tap where it says 45 pounds. This, we try to make barbell math as easy as possible, so I can easily add plates. It will do that math for me. And if I do have entered in 1 rep max, I can throw in a percentage of a rep max. And then underneath both myself and Connor, that barbell will indicate that that load equals 20% of our entered 1 rep maxes on the back end. I'll click out of this, hit done. And then I can also add a goal. So we mentioned goals. We do have zone goals. Again, that dynamic goal is going to be based on each of our individual load velocity profiles. And what the load selected dictates that the zone should be. We also have preset goals too. So those sort of 5 main velocity-based training zones, you can, those 5 main velocity-based training zones, you can easily enter in here. We also have drop goals, so 5, 10, 15, 20% of your first or best rep. We have time goals, so this is for eccentric time. So this is going to be the eccentric portion of the movement. We have goals set for that. And then ballistic goals as well. So for your Olympic movements, your ballistics, your jumps, we can easily add in a ballistic goal there. We also have settings here, so we can use a different color for fast reps, and we can enable sound effects as well. So let's say I want to hit strength speed goal. I can hit done and then start. That green band is going to indicate that is the goal that I've set for myself. I can tap where it says mean velocity, and the target is indicating that I've set a goal for mean velocity, but you can change your live output to any of these metrics and still see that goal in live time. Just to give you an example of what this looks like, a lift, a good rep, a fast rep, and a slow rep. So you see visual output as well as auditory as to whether or not you're hitting that goal or that parameter that we've set. I can hit complete, and then I can tap into that set. You'll be able to see all of the metrics as well as bar path or movement path. If I go back to my home screen, I can click the home button, and this is where you'll be able to see any of the assigned programs. So I can start any of these, and then it will tell me exactly what to do. The camera angle will change based on the exercise that is selected. And this is essentially telling me that I've got 3 sets of deadlift, 10 reps, 135 pounds, or 27% of my 1 rep max as an entered in dynamic goal. So ultimately, this can be used to move your athletes through their programs really easily and really seamlessly without you having to tell them what to do or use another piece of software or a hard card or anything like that. All of your movements can be programmed using Perch and assigned out to your athletes. Now, in this example, I want to show you what it looks like to do a perch evaluation using that perch camera. So this is a preset program, and essentially I've got a CMJ arms fixed for 3 reps. If I hit record, it's going to tell me to jump. My live output that I've already programmed on the back end is jump height. I'll keep it at that, and then I'm going to stand back from the camera, put my hands on my hips, because this is arms fixed jump, and jump. And I will get immediate feedback as to the jump height of that exercise. When I'm done, I'll hit complete, and then it will move me on to the next set of exercises. So back squat paired with push-up. Now for that CMJ, I can always tap back into that and take a look at that set, how I performed, and if I had more data in here, how that compared to my previous 30-day rolling time frame as well. Now let's say I want to go between A1 and A2. I'll hit start here on my back squat. There's no goal set. So I'll go ahead and get 5 reps in here. And hit complete, and it'll move me on to push-ups. Now, push-ups can be either tracked or non, so depending on your preference, you can easily go with that. And then you get to something that is not a perch track exercise, ultimately, you won't have the option to start it, you will just have the option to complete it. And so if you're tracking using the perch camera, you will have to hit start and do that movement within that field of view. If you are not, you can hit this complete button and it will move you on to that next set of things as well. Now, if ever you want to bulk complete anything, you can tap into that exercise and just simply hit complete all and save. It'll make sure that you're sure, and then you'll go back to your main screen. So that's just something that's really helpful for if your athletes are doing accessory movements or they're doing other non-tracked perch movements, they can bulk complete without having to use the camera or hit complete one after the next. You can bulk complete at any time, then all that data again will get saved on the back end. I'll go ahead and exit this workout and pop back to my home screen. So anything that I have completed will be available here. And then again, all of that gets uploaded to the dashboard where you'll be able to monitor compliance over time. We do have a few more things here on the tablet. So we've got something called Automode that basically is going to move from one athlete to the next after a certain time set interval. After seeing 1 rep under a new user, and as soon as that time frame has elapsed, it'll automatically move on to the next person. This is just a really surefire way to make sure that you're constantly moving through your users without having to touch the tablet. We also have an exercise detail screen. So this exercise detail screen will essentially tell you your all-time bests. So you can see all of those details directly on the weight room floor without having to pop back to a computer, so your athletes can see if they're hitting PRs or whatnot. Now, if I have multiple athletes logged into this tablet, the person who's highlighted in blue on the top is the one who is up. I can toggle in between them really easily, and then I'll be able to see what data exists, who has completed what, and then again, I can log people out very easily just by hitting the X next to their name. A quick note on camera angle. So the Perch camera, again, it's on a motor. It's got about 140 degrees of rotation to it. You do want to calibrate that camera for every exercise that you're going to be using the Perch camera with the very first time you get it. So ultimately to do that, you're going to hit this button on the bottom right-hand side that looks like the camera. I can tap that and it will tell me whether or not that bar is lost or found. And I can adjust the camera up or down accordingly. And what it's looking for, in this case, the barbell, will move accordingly too. So let's say I'm calibrating this camera for my back squat. I want to step out to where I'm typically going to be squatting, move through that full range of motion, and make sure that that barbell is seen throughout that full range of motion. If it is, I know that's a good angle for that camera to be at, and I'll go ahead and hit save. And then each and every time I select back squat, the camera will snap back to this preset position. These are the preset camera angles that I can transfer to the rest of my devices through the Perch dashboard as well. Perch is weight room performance reimagined. This is a tool that maximizes absolutely every movement in the weight room using our 3 products in our product suite: Perch Plan, our programming tool; Perch Evaluate, our jump testing tool; and Perch Train, the foundation of our product, our load management velocity-based training tool. This is a closed loop system that helps inform how your athletes are progressing longitudinally, helps give some data insights, helps provide some recommendations or suggestions for them for either load or velocity, and helps keep them healthy in the long term. This is a tool that you can also use to help sort of justify decisions that you're making as a coach through your programs, through your training, and so on. So ultimately, this can be a tool that you use in the weight room as a single tool instead of having multiple components, whether it's a programming tool or force plate or whatever it may be. Perch can be your sort of one-stop shop, single tool that you use to monitor weight and performance overall with your athletes. We're continuously adding more updates as well. So please follow along with us and let us know any questions that you have. Feel free to reach out to us at either sales@perch.fit or support@perch.fit. And keep us in mind as you look for your next weight room tool.